Thank you so much for talking about policy and talking about the part of this that we can't just stop at knowing that this needs to be stopped. We have to know how to interact with these systems, how to support the people who are doing the work. And I'm very, very happy and lucky that Sarah was here today because I want somebody to talk about library policy. But I did not know Sarah was coming until a few days ago. I had somebody else coming to speak about library policy, and they unfortunately dropped out. So I kind of asked them, hey, what do you think is the most worth highlighting? And I just want to read out a few things that this librarian thought were most important to speak about. They pointed me to the ALA website, the American Library Association website, where they have quite a few things written about this. First, they have their freedom to read statement, which I believe was alluded to. When talking about the freedom to read, this is what they have to say in their official statement. The freedom to read is essential to our democracy. It is continuously under attack. Private groups and public authorities in various parts of the country are working to remove or limit access to reading materials, to censor content in our schools, to label controversial views, to distribute lists of objectionable books or authors, and to purge libraries. These actions apparently rise from a view that our national tradition of freedom, free expression is no longer valid, that censorship and suppression are needed to counter threats to safety or national security, as well as to avoid the subversion of politics and the corruption of morals. We, as individuals devoted to reading and as librarians and publishers responsible for disseminating ideas, wish to assert the public interest in the preservation of the freedom to read. Later on in that section, they say this: these efforts at suppression are related to a larger pattern of pressures being brought against education, the press, art, film, and images. The problem is not only one of actual censorship. The shadow of fear cast by these pressures leads, we suspect, to even larger voluntary curtailment of expression by those who seek to avoid controversy or unwelcome scrutiny from government officials. Through most of this, they talk pretty broadly about this issue, but they take a very strong stance at multiple times. I think that was all worthwhile information to have. They end their statement with this: we state these propositions neither lightly or as easy generalizations. We here stake out a lofty claim for the value of the written word. We do so because we believe it is possessed of enormous variety and usefulness, worthy of cherishing and keeping free. We realize the application of these propositions may mean the dissemination of ideas and manners of expression that are repugnant to many persons. We do not state these propositions in the comfortable belief that what people read is unimportant. Rather, we believe that what people read is deeply important, that ideas can be dangerous, but that the suppression of ideas is fatal to a democratic society. Freedom itself is a dangerous way of life, but it is ours. This statement has been amended many times, but it was originally written and published in 1953. These battles have been going on for quite a long time. This joint statement was made by the American Library Association and the Association of American Publishers. Since being put out, it was also co-signed by the American Booksellers of Free Expression, the Association of American University Presses, the Children's Book Council, the Freedom to Read Foundation, the National Association of College Stores, the National Coalition Against Censorship, the National Council of Teachers of English, and the Thomas Jefferson Center for the Protection of Free Expression. People have been fighting these battles for a long time, and they are not new to this. They know very well what we are up against, and they have found successes. They talk about a lot of these things broadly, but towards the end they have a few links to specific, the application of these ideas to specific issues. So I want to leave you from the ALA statements with this, regarding their position on access to library resources and services regardless of sex, gender identity, gender expression, or sexual orientation. The American Library Association stringently and unequivocally maintains that libraries and librarians have an obligation to resist efforts that systematically exclude materials dealing with any subject matter, including sex, gender identity, or sexual orientation. This is what happens when people know policy, when people know how to interact and engage with it. We get good policy. We get organizations that are on the right side of history.